Let's talk straight for a moment, because if no one's told you this yet, let me be the first. Trying is just not enough anymore. See, trying has become the modern escape hatch. People say, oh well, I tried, but what does that really mean? That you gave a moment of effort, dipped your toe in the water, and when the temperature wasn't right, you stepped back? That you entertained the idea of change, but when it demanded more from you, you folded? Trying sounds noble until you look at the results. Like, you don't get health by trying to eat better. You don't build wealth by trying to save. You don't fix a relationship by trying to be kind. You either do it, or you don't. The universe responds to action, not intention. You see, the marketplace, the real world, doesn't reward you for trying. It rewards you for delivering, for producing, for committing, for becoming someone whose actions align with their words. Because effort is admirable, but execution is transformational. Now listen, I understand. Trying feels good. It gives you a sense of motion without progress. It gives you the illusion of pursuit without the discomfort of discipline. But don't mistake movement for achievement. Don't confuse activity with accomplishment. Discipline is the bridge between a trying and becoming. That means doing it on the days you don't feel like it. That means saying no to comfort so you can say yes to calling. That means replacing excuses with execution and hoping with habits. And here's the deeper truth. You were not made to try. You were made to rise, to step fully into the person you were meant to become. And that version of you, the powerful, clear, unwavering version, doesn't try. They decide. They commit. They transform. So next time you hear yourself say, I'll try, pause, and ask yourself, you making a move toward change, or am I just making peace with staying the same? Because in this life, in this moment, trying just isn't enough anymore. It's time to do. It's time to become. Trying is a deceptive comfort zone because it allows people to feel like they're making progress without actually committing to change. It's a mental loophole, a safe middle ground between doing nothing and taking full responsibility. When someone says, I'm trying, it often sounds sincere, and maybe it is. But beneath those words is usually a hidden excuse, a buffer that protects them from the discomfort of failure and the pressure of results. It's a clever disguise that looks like effort but produces very little transformation. Trying gives us a false sense of motion. Trying gives us a false sense of motion. It makes us feel active while keeping us emotionally passive. It becomes a way to avoid risk while still pretending we're in the game. The comfort of trying is that it demands no real accountability. You can try for years and still stay in the same place. Why? Because trying doesn't ask for consistency. It doesn't require discipline. It doesn't demand sacrifice. It only asks that you dabble, test the waters, and retreat when things get tough. It whispers that effort alone is enough. But in the real world, effort without execution is wasted potential. No one gets paid for what they tried to do. They get rewarded for what they finished, for what they mastered, for what they delivered. This deceptive comfort zone keeps people stuck. It convinces them they're improving just because they've moved an inch when the truth is, the journey demands a mile. It's easy to say, I'm trying to be better, but far harder to wake up every day and live better. Think better, act better. Real growth isn't about trying, it's about transforming. And transformation happens outside the comfort zone, where commitment lives. To break free from this trap, you have to make a clear choice. Stop measuring yourself by your intentions and start measuring by your results. Stop romanticizing the struggle and start demanding outcomes. Because trying might keep you safe, but it will never make you strong. It will never make you strong. It might feel honest, but it's often just hesitation dressed in hope. And the truth is, as long as you keep trying, you'll never start becoming. Results come from commitment, not attempts, because only when you fully commit do you align your mind, energy, and actions toward a definite outcome. Attempts are casual. They are soft pushes towards something, often filled with hesitation, excuses, and exit routes. An attempt means you're still negotiating with your fears, still unsure if the destination is worth the struggle. But commitment shuts the door on doubt. It says this is happening no matter what. That mindset changes everything. When you commit, you don't hope things will work out, you make them work. You show up on the hard days, you keep going when it's uncomfortable, and you find solutions when most people stop at problems. Attempts don't carry the same weight. They're temporary, easily swayed by distractions or discomfort. People attempt goals all the time. They attempt to wake up early, to start a business, to lose weight, to improve their relationship. But those attempts rarely last. Why? Because they're not backed by a solid decision. They haven't drawn a line in the sand. They're waiting for motivation, for permission, for the right conditions, none of which are guaranteed. Commitment, however, creates its own conditions. It fuels its own fire. It builds momentum by doing, not waiting. Results are not an accident. They are the byproduct of focused intention, backed by consistent action. Commitment turns the impossible into the inevitable by forcing you to level up. It demands growth. Demands that you stretch beyond your limitations and get comfortable being uncomfortable. Without that deep decision to follow through, even the best plans collapse. Talent alone can't save an uncommitted mind. Passion fades when not reinforced by persistence. But commitment keeps going even when the feeling is gone. In every area of life, commitment separates the dreamers from the doers. It's not enough to start. You must continue. You must show up when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, and when nothing seems to be working. Because the real rewards only come to those who stay the course. So if you're serious about results, stop attempting and start committing. Make the decision once, and then build a lifestyle around that decision. That's where change happens. That's where results live. The marketplace only rewards execution because ideas alone carry no value until they are turned into something tangible. You can have the greatest vision in the world, the most inspiring goals, or the sharpest strategies, but if you don't execute, none of it matters. The marketplace doesn't pay for your potential. It doesn't recognize your intentions. It doesn't care about what you almost did or what you planned to do. It rewards what is finished, what is delivered, what solves problems and adds value. Execution is the bridge between concept and cash, between dreaming and earning. So many people stay stuck in planning mode. They research endlessly, watch every video, attend every seminar, and talk constantly about what they're going to do. Dreams don't generate income until they're turned into consistent action and visible results. The world is full of people with amazing ideas, but very few follow through. That's why those who execute even imperfectly outperform those who never get started. Because in the real world, momentum matters more than perfection. Execution proves seriousness. It says you're not just thinking about doing something, you're doing it. That level of follow-through builds trust not only with customers or clients, but with yourself. It strengthens discipline, builds resilience, and trains your mind to become result-oriented. And that mindset is rare, which is why it's so highly rewarded. People don't pay for efforts they can't see. They pay for outcomes. They pay for value. They pay for consistency. You don't get hired for trying. You get hired for getting the job done. You don't build a business on hope. You build it on delivery. Every product that sells, every service that thrives, every brand that grows, it all comes down to someone taking massive, relentless action. That's the rule of the marketplace. It rewards finishers, not starters. It honors commit, not convenience. So if you want to earn more, grow faster, or make an impact, ask yourself not what you're thinking about, but what you're executing. Because until action enters the equation, you're just another person with a dream. Execution turns that dream into something real. And only the real gets rewarded. Discipline transforms good intentions into results because it takes the vague hope of success and grounds it in consistent action. Many people have good intentions. They want to be healthy, wealthy, kind, productive, focused, and successful. They talk about changing their habits, improving their lives, and reaching new levels. But intentions alone are never enough. They're like seeds without water, full of potential but lifeless without follow-through. Discipline is the force that waters those seeds every day, no matter how you feel. It's the commitment to action, even when motivation is gone and emotions are low. Without discipline, your intentions remain unfulfilled promises to yourself. The truth is, life doesn't reward what you meant to do. It rewards what you actually do. And doing anything worthwhile requires structure, sacrifice, and consistency. That's what discipline brings. It gives you control over your impulses and focus over your distractions. It trains your mind to stick to what's necessary rather than what's easy. You may have every good intention in the world to wake up early, eat clean, exercise, work hard, or build something valuable, but only discipline ensures those things actually happen, especially when comfort and excuses show up. Discipline is the difference between a moment of inspiration and a lifetime of transformation. Good intentions are easy when you're inspired, when you feel the fire. That fire fades. When it does, discipline steps in as your inner fuel. It pushes you forward when your environment, your emotions, or your circumstances tell you to stop. Over time, those small acts of discipline add up. They become your habits, and your habits become your identity. When discipline takes over, results follow. You start seeing progress, and with that progress comes belief. That belief creates momentum. And suddenly, what started as a small act of self-control becomes a lifestyle of purpose and achievement. That's how real change happens, not through wishful thinking, but through disciplined doing. So if you're serious about turning your goals into reality, stop relying on your intentions alone. Build the discipline to follow through. Because intentions may point you in the right direction, but only discipline will carry you to the finish line. Faith and purpose elevate action because they give it depth, direction, and unstoppable energy. When a person moves without belief or reason, their steps are hesitant and scattered. But when action is rooted in faith, faith in a higher calling and unseen results or in the power of persistence, it becomes resilient. Faith carries you through the times when nothing makes sense, when your progress is invisible, and when quitting seems easier. It fuels you to act with certainty, even in the face of uncertainty. It reminds you that your labor is not in vain, even when the harvest hasn't arrived yet. Purpose adds another layer to this. It gives your actions a reason beyond temporary success. It connects what you do with who you are and why you exist. Purpose turns ordinary tasks into meaningful steps. When you know your why, even small actions gain power. You no longer work for the applause, the money, or the short-term win. You work for impact, for growth, and for alignment with something bigger than yourself. Purpose makes sacrifice easier and endurance stronger. It turns discipline into devotion. Together, faith and purpose transform action from something you do into something you live. They make your efforts sacred. You're no longer just pushing through life. You're pulled by a deeper force. You rise earlier not out of obligation, but because you're on a mission. You stay committed not just because of goals, but because you're called to something more. That calling becomes louder than your excuses, stronger than your fears, and more consistent than your moods. Many people act without purpose and their actions burn out quickly. Others act without faith and they collapse under pressure. But when your heart is full of faith and your steps are driven by purpose, your work becomes unshakable. You don't give up at the first sign of resistance. You don't need external validation to keep going. You know why you're here. You trust the process even when you don't understand the timing. That's the power of faith and purpose. They elevate action from motion to meaning. They turn routine into legacy. And when your actions are lifted by these two forces, you don't just move forward, you rise. Success requires measurable change because without clear progress, there is no real success. Only the illusion of it. You can talk about growth, plan for the future, and set all the goals you want. But if your actions aren't producing visible and trackable improvements, then nothing is truly changed. Change is the evidence of effort. It is the undeniable proof that you've not only tried, but evolved. And when that change is measurable, it becomes powerful. It shows up in how you think, how you spank your time, and how others experience the value you bring to the table. Too often, people confuse motion with progress. They stay busy, they stay tired, they stay in motion. But when they stop to look around, their life is still the same habits, the same outcomes, the same frustrations. Why? Because busyness without measurement leads nowhere. You can only improve what you can measure. Whether it's finances, health skills, relationships, or mindset, success demands that you track where you started, where you are, and where you're heading. Measurable change forces you to be honest. It removes the guesswork. You can no longer hide behind vague affirmations or emotional highs. It brings clarity. If you're saving money, you know exactly how much. If you're losing weight, you know the numbers. If you're building a business, you can see the growth. It takes your dream out of the clouds and puts it on paper, real, raw, and trackable. That kind of truth can be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Because success is not a feeling, it's a result. Change that can't be measured can't be improved. And without improvement, there is no elevation. Success isn't about staying the same while hoping for different outcomes. It's about doing the work that brings a visible shift in your reality. It's about looking back and saying, I am not the same person I was 6 months ago. That shift should be so clear that no one can deny it. Not even you. So if you say you want success, ask yourself, what has changed and can I measure it? Because if you can't measure the change, you're not chasing success. You're just entertaining it. You must outgrow the version of yourself that settles, because the life you desire cannot be built by the mindset that tolerates less. Settling is quiet surrender. It's the moment you stop reaching, not because you've found peace, but because you've grown tired of trying. And while it may feel comfortable, that comfort is dangerous. It disguises itself as contentment, but deep down, you know it's compromise. The version of you that settles is not your final form. It's the one that accepted limitations, justified inaction, made excuses for fear. To become who you're meant to be, that version must be left behind. Growth is a decision. It's the refusal to remain the same when more is possible. You don't evolve by clinging to safety. You evolve by stepping into discomfort and staying there until the next level becomes your new normal. The self that settles fears challenge, avoids risk, and seeks validation. But the self that grows embraces uncertainty, learns from failure, and creates value. And that shift doesn't happen overnight. It happens every day in small choices, in broken patterns, and in conscious discipline. Outgrowing your old self means letting go of habits that no longer serve you. It means distancing yourself from environments and people who reinforce your limitations. It means challenging your thoughts when they tell you to play small. It's about breaking the agreement you made with mediocrity. You have to want growth more than you want approval, more than you want ease, more than you want temporary pleasure. This evolution is not just about goals, it's about identity. Who are you becoming? Are your standards rising? Is your vision expanding? As your vision expanding? Are your actions reflecting the person you claim to be? Because the version of you that settles will always choose what's familiar, but the version that rises is built through intentional effort, purpose-driven focus, and inner alignment. Until you outgrow the version of yourself that settles, life will continue to mirror your old choices. But the moment you decide that average is no longer acceptable, your reality begins to shift. You weren't made to shrink. You were made to rise, to stretch, to evolve. And every time you choose growth over comfort, you honor that purpose.